everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome and welcome to the 13th episode of my special 2019 segment on my channel, 007, A Bondiful Year. And I have to say, before I begin with this new installment, after seeing two really bad James Bond movies, just when you feel that you've lost all hope, it is great to actually know that the movie that you thought was going to be the worst of the James Bond films ended up being an enjoyable ride and a big surprise. And of course, that is the 1983 James Bond film with a name that is probably extremely politically incorrect and can never be used in today's day and age in film, and is probably causing those left-wing loonies to boycott the James Bond franchise. Yep, it's Octopussy, starring Roger Moore once again filling in the shoes of James Bond, as well as seeing the return of Maud Adams, who made her first appearance in the James Bond world as a side character in The Man with the Golden Gun in 1974. This time she is actually the leading lady, and that of course is also the lead villainess, Octopussy. So in this film, it starts off with the death of one of the British intelligence agents trying to recover a very rare Fabergé egg, and it turns out that this egg happens to be a fake. So British intelligence, of course, led by M, and this is also a very interesting time because we finally get the new M, because in 1981 we lost Bernard Lee, unfortunately, and now Robert Brown takes up the helm, and to a certain degree, when you see M back in James Bond's world, you feel a little bit more complete because it feels like the gang is all back together because Moneypenny is still there, Q is still there, and to see Roger Moore coming back is, of course, a great treat. And one of the few things that I will say before I begin is my overall feeling of this film. It is definitely not perfect. It is not even the best. There are some points that drag, there's a lot of cringeworthy moments, but the reason why I have very positive things to say about it is because James Bond, as far as Roger Moore goes, is officially back. After a horrible film in Moonraker, a forgettable film in For Your Eyes Only, and also seeing that great personality of Roger Moore practically ripped away in the 1981 film, he's back in full force. His suaveness, his charisma, his jokes are all on point. It is finally great to see Roger Moore back as the James Bond that I fell in love with when he first took up the role in 1973, and it also is incredible to know that at this point in time, he has officially been playing James Bond for a decade. He has officially passed Sean Connery, and at this point in time, he has been playing James Bond the longest. So it's pretty incredible to know that even though there are so many people that love Sean Connery, Roger Moore had the longevity, and for good reason, because I really do appreciate Roger Moore, and I love him in this movie. So through this little caper, he finds out that there are a lot of different cogs in this villainous clock. And it also plays in with the title of the film, Octopussy, because of course, an octopus has 8 arms, and there definitely are a lot of hands in this jewel smuggling scheme that they encounter thanks to this fake Fabergé egg. There is a wealthy entrepreneur and royal, as a matter of fact, named Kamal Khan, who's from India. He is definitely one of the more fun and more charismatic villains. Definitely not the best, but still a lot of fun because he's one of the few that truly gets under James Bond's skin. And you can see that in this movie, especially when they encounter each other face to face. He's also not one of the strongest villains. He's this really short, skinny guy, but he makes up for that in his henchman, Gobinda, who is this ginormous Indian man with a turban who is probably a new incarnation of Jaws who actually knows how to speak. And you'll definitely see that when you actually watch this movie. It's definitely fun to see James Bond encountering these guys, and then of course there is Octopussy herself, who happens to be the middle person in this smuggling ring. She smuggles the jewels through a circus that she owns, and it travels all throughout Europe, but the interesting hand in this jewel smuggling scheme happens to be a General Orlov from the Soviet Union. He is someone who is not satisfied with the fact that Russia is going soft. As a matter of fact, we all know in the 80s, communism is about to fall. The Berlin Wall is about to come down. So he has a plan through this operation to get these gems and use them for the sake of creating a nuclear bomb explosion in a United States airbase in Europe for the sake of causing Europe to go into a frenzy, open the borders, and allow General Orlov to bring his forces in and spread communism full force all throughout Europe. And even better, this guy is played by Steven Berkoff. If you don't know who he is, you definitely know the name Victor Maitland from one of the greatest comedic films of all time, Beverly Hills Cop. So to know that Steven Berkoff was in this film was absolutely fantastic. It was also great to see Maud Adams return because she really didn't have a big role in the 1974 Bond film, but I really appreciated her as Octopussy. She was powerful. She definitely showed her strengths. You definitely knew that even though she was sort of the middle person in this whole operation, she definitely knew when she had to take control. And she played off of Roger Moore very well. I thought that she played off James Bond very well in The Man with the Golden Gun, but seeing her in Octopussy and seeing her in a much bigger role was great. Also, I appreciated the rest of the actors. I thought that Louis Jourdan, who played Kamal Khan, was definitely fun. I really liked that. I also really appreciated a lot of the things that happened throughout the film. I really thought that this was one of James Bond's more challenging adventures because he actually goes toe-to-toe with the elements, whether it is fighting off wild animals in the Bengal jungle or just an amazing epic train battle in East Berlin on a moving train. There's also a really interesting couple of things that James Bond actually does. He puts on a lot of masks, if you will. I don't want to go further into that. You just have to see that for yourself. And also some of the other side villains that you see in this movie are interesting. I mean, we have a other lady who is played by Christina Wyborn. She plays Magda, who is one of Octopussy's people, who works alongside Kamal Khan as well. And there's also this evil group of carnies led by these knife-throwing twins. They don't really have much of a speaking role, and they're not really relevant to the story, but who doesn't like to watch a good bunch of knife throwing? Just the interesting skills that knife throwing are, especially when you see shows like America's Got Talent these days, you see a great deal of intrigue, especially now that there are places where people can even throw axes for the sake of letting out stress. But again, it's great to see all of these good elements because these are what make this James Bond film fun, because if there's anything that I can say about Octopussy is while it is very much imperfect, it is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself. I laughed at all the jokes. I also, of course, liked the introduction song, which is sung by Rita Coolidge, and that, of course, is all-time high. It's not one of my favorite James Bond songs, but it's definitely very pleasant and soothing, and overall, like I said, an imperfect film. It shattered my expectations on the fun and excitement scale. I really just enjoyed the film overall. And I'm glad to know that that was the case. It gives me a little bit more hope for the James Bond films, especially since the next James Bond film is going to be a bit of a sad one because it is going to be the very last James Bond film that Roger Moore will be in as 007. So I'm really hoping that after seeing a nice little boost in Octopussy, the next James Bond movie will give Roger Moore a good send-off because we didn't really get one from Sean Connery. So I am going to give Octopussy an admirable 2.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Octopussy. I will see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.